started, and then as people trickle in, they can trickle in. But I wanted to thank all of you for joining us today, and welcome you to, again, the EOF at Rutgers Camden Financial Verification Info Session. I know that this says transfer, but I know there might be a couple students who are considered a first-year student, so all the information is going to apply to you regardless. It's the same information. And so I'm going to start off by first introducing myself. Some of you, probably all of you, have talked to me on some level at some point via email. And so my name is Randy Mayers. I am the director of the EOF program. I'm so excited that you are interested in EOF at Rutgers Camden. I know some of you might have had EOF before. Some of you have never had any experience with EOF. So I am going to spend the first portion of this session talking about what EOF is and what you can expect from our program and the services that we provide. And then I'm also joined by my colleague, Mrs. Lakeisha Villan Cortez from the Financial Aid Office here at Rutgers Camden. And she is going to do the other half of the presentation where she's going to talk about the verification process. So I've kind of alluded to all of you via email that one of the requirements that EOF has for students who are coming in, right, whether you had EOF before. So if you are an incoming transfer student and maybe you went to like Camden County, for example, and you had EOF at Camden County, even if you've had EOF there, we still have to verify your eligibility for the program here. So you would have to go through a financial verification process. And this process can be a bit overwhelming and oftentimes confusing, especially if you've never had any experience with this before. So we want to have this session so we can talk about this process and kind of what this entails, and then leave space to have, if you have any questions about anything, whether that's the program or the financial verification process. So Lakeisha, are you able to see the PowerPoint okay?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. So I'm going to get started. Okay. So I kind of already went through this, but I'll talk about it a little bit again. And so today's session, we're going to be talking about the EOF program and our services, talk a little bit about our compliance requirements. So essentially, what do we expect from our students as you're thinking about becoming part of our family here at Rutgers Camden? And then we will talk about the EOF verification process. And so I always like to kind of give context and talk about who our team is. So our team is small right now. We are currently growing. We are hiring for a new counselor and an assistant director for the program. So this is going to change and grow, which is exciting. And I'm expecting that to happen in the next few weeks. But for now, we are a team of 3. So there is myself, who is the director of the program. There is Miss Sarah Rubright, who is one of our senior counselors, and then Mrs. Caroline Waters, who is also one of our senior counselors. And so I want to talk a little bit about the role of Miss Rubright and Mrs. Waters. So if you've never applied to EOF before, you've never heard of EOF before, I often talk about what an EOF counselor is. And to me, an EOF counselor is a mentor, a guide, an advocate, basically a person that is going to support you from your entirety of your time in the program and at Rutgers Camden. So if you are, say, an incoming first-year student and you're coming from high school and maybe you had like a guidance counselor, a coach, or a teacher, somebody that was like your person, you went to them, you talked to them about anything that you were experiencing, and they kind of supported you through high school, that's kind of what an EOF counselor is. So they are basically the heart and soul of the program. And their job is to literally support you and your goals. That's going to be different for every single one of you coming in here today. You are coming in with, different backgrounds, experiences. Some of you might be a transfer student, so you've been to college a little bit before. Some of you are a brand new student to college and have never experienced college at all. Some of you know exactly what you're going to do. You know exactly what your major is going to be, your career goals, and some of you are still figuring that out. And so everyone has a different experience coming in, and therefore they're going to have a different experience while they're here, and they're going to be looking to have achieved different goals, whether that is academic, personal, or career related, all of those things are going to be highly unique to you because of who you are as a person. And so our counselors work with you one-on-one to support you while you're here at Rutgers Camden to make sure you're fulfilling all of those goals for yourself. And so I talked a little bit about this, but I really want to take a moment to talk about EOF and what we do. EOF is a state-funded program. And so that means that EOF is not unique to Rutgers or Rutgers Camden. It is found throughout the state of New Jersey in several institutions. Some of you have had EOF before at your community college. And so it's not a Rutgers program, it's a state-funded program. But all these programs run a little bit differently. So we are the same in the sense that all our programs are focused on access and support. So we help students who might be lower income or coming from lower resource communities get into college and then support you while you're in college. And that support is multifaceted. So often, and many of you might have been interested initially in EOF because we provide a grant. I often tell people that we are a support program that provides aid, right? We are not an aid program. So it is not a program that just gives you money and then that's it. We are a program that provides personal support services. And one of those services is a grant that goes towards your tuition and fees. But if you're applying to EOF, it's because you need personal and academic support. The money is a bonus. It's not a ton of money. And we're going to talk about what the grants look like and how that kind of fits into your whole financial aid. But it certainly helps, of course, right? So any sort of money is going to help pay for your tuition and fees, help kind of lower that bill so it's less a burden on you. But if you're interested in this program, I'm hoping you're interested because you're thinking to yourself, I'm coming to Rutgers Camden, whether you've been in college before or not, this is a new institution, a new place. There's a lot that you don't know or are about to experience in a few short weeks when the semester starts. And so I'm hoping that you're interested in EOF because you're like, I could really use a guide. I could really use a support. I could really use somebody or people in my corner who are going to help me as I make this transition into college, into Rutgers Camden. And so one of the ways that we do that, and I mentioned already, is through our counseling. And so all of our students are required to meet with their counselors regularly throughout the academic year. And what they do is support you, right? So I've already talked about the support a little bit, but they are helping you make sure that you are doing well academically. So if you're needing any support resources for your classes, such as tutoring, they're connecting you, they're helping you sign up for tutoring, they're helping you connect with your professors and figure out, how to get help in the class or, bring up your grades or whatever it is that you need academically. They're helping you personally. I will say, so in addition to having an EOF counselor, you would also have an academic advisor. So you do have a person whose focus is to make sure that you're in the right classes and that you're on a right plan for graduation and graduating in a timely manner, whatever that looks like for you. A lot of what our counselors do is while they do look at your academics and make sure that, say, you're in the right major or you're doing well in your classes, a lot of what they're focusing on is the personal aspects and how that shows up in college, right? So you guys are coming here and you are not just a college student. You are, a million other things. You could be your son, daughter, your sibling, you could be a caretaker, you could be a parent, you could be an employee, you are a friend, you are many different things to many different people. And those roles and the experiences that you've had up until this point are going to be carried with you into college. Those don't go away just because you become a college student. A lot of what happens is figuring out how to prioritize the different roles that you do carry, how to navigate any challenges that may come your way, whether that's from personal aspects in your life or academically, and how to kind of move through that successfully, which can be really, really challenging, right, at times. You spend 4 to 6 years of your life in college, and a lot of things happen in 4 to 6 years. So our counselors are there to support you through that process and help you to figure out how to manage and balance all of these things that might be coming your way so that you do walk across that stage of graduation and you do accomplish your goals that you have set for yourself. We also do a lot of workshops and programs. If you've had EOF before, you are familiar with this because all of our programs do this, but we provide workshops and programs that are going to give you skills, information, resources, and opportunities to help build your network, your communication skills, your career readiness skills, financial literacy. So we cover all of these topics that are going to help you not only be prepared for graduation and whatever that next step holds for you, whether it's graduate school, whether it's going right into work, maybe you're taking a gap year, all of these things we're going to prepare you for, but we're also trying to help you make the most out of your college experience here. Graduation is a goal, right? But graduation is the outcome. What you are doing between now and graduation is the goals you should be setting for yourself. So what are you doing to build your resume? What are you doing to build a really strong network of support here so that they can not just help you while you're here, but having a network is going to be what gives you opportunities, right? For jobs, internships, things outside of college. And then also having those skills that you can speak to when you do want to take the next step. So making sure you're being engaged on campus and that you have access to opportunities that are going to help not only build your resume, but also help develop you as a person so that when you leave here, you feel that your time was well spent. It wasn't just going to class and going home or going to class and going to your dorm. It was a whole college experience. And so that's a lot of what our workshops focus on, is helping you with getting those skills and resources to make the most of your experience. We are a small campus. Some of you may have been on our campus before, but if you have not, we are literally 1 square block. So we're small. And that has a lot of great advantages because it is a family-like atmosphere. And especially that is the case in EOF. We have about anywhere between 250 to 300 active students in our program. And that's, it sounds like a lot, but it's not when you hear about other programs that have thousands of students, right? And so that is a really great advantage because you get to know people a lot easier. And when you get to know people support you more and they provide you more opportunities, right? So you'll have an EOF counselor, but you also, you know me, and you'll know other people who are associated or part of the program that are here to support you. So it's a really big advantage. While other students, there are students on campus that maybe be a part of other programs, say something like TRIO or the Honors College, where they get this extra support. A lot of our students don't get that, right? So they come in, they have an academic advisor, but then they have to seek out that support. So they have to go find those people who are going to be their network, who are going to support them. Whereas you have it built in here in EOF. We are here for you. Your counselor is going to reach out to you and support you the best way that they can. So you don't have to go seek it, you have it. And it's not just the staff here, it's also the students. So you're becoming a part of a family of EOF students who you can talk to, use as a support network, and move through this college experience with. And so, especially if you're an incoming first-year student or even just a transfer student, this is a new environment. This is great because you have kind of built-in friendships, right? Like you're going to be able to meet other people who have similar experiences to you and be able to relate with them as you move through college. So I want to quickly touch on the compliance for our program, which I've kind of talked about a little bit when I'm talking about what our program is, right? So I made a point to say that we are not a financial aid program. We are a support program that provides aid, right? And I say that distinction because we have expectations of our students who come into the program. This is not a program where we say, here's your grant, have a great semester, right? We want to see you. We expect to talk to you. We expect to know how you're doing. We are here to support you, but that support is a two-way street, right? So our counselors will reach out to you all the time. They will call you, they will text you, they will, meet with you on campus. They will do everything in their power to make sure that you are engaged and that you are coming in and talking to them regularly. However, they can't force you, right? So you can choose not to answer your phone. You can choose not to answer an email. You don't have to open your laptop. Everything here is a choice. So you don't have to take the support that they are giving. But if you don't meet us halfway and you're not coming in to meet with your counselor, you're not going to workshops, you're overall just like not being responsive, then you're not going to be eligible to get the grant. Being eligible to receive the EOF, the financial aid portion of EOF, is more than just being actually financially eligible. It's being an active participant in the EOF program. So as I mentioned, our program is about support. Financial aid is just one aspect of that support. So we expect our students to attend workshops regularly, meet with their EOF counselor at minimum 2 times a month, and also meet with your academic advisor to make sure that you are on track with classes. All in all, we really don't ask a lot for our students. I think I did the math recently, and it's like maybe 3 hours a month of time that we're asking for. And so it's very doable, it's very easy, but it's just a matter of making it a priority. So as you're thinking about coming into UF, just make sure that you are going to have the capacity to receive this support, and that you want to receive this support, because we will do everything in our power to make sure you're successful, but you have to meet us halfway. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Cortez, who's going to talk about the verification process. I did want to mention that, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but if you do have questions, particularly about anything, but I know the verification process can be a little overwhelming, feel free, as she's going through her slides, to put things in the chat, like if you have questions that come up as you see them, and we will make sure that they get answered at the end. We're also going to leave space at the end to answer any questions that you may have. So please feel free to put things in the chat as we go along. It's all yours, Lakeisha.
Hi guys, good afternoon. My name is Lakeisha Blanc-Cortez, and I am one of the assistant directors in the Office of Financial Aid. So we're going to kind of go through and talk about what this EOF verification process will look like, what you can expect, documentation, and different things like that. Okay. So Educational Opportunity Fund, EOF, I know Randy touched on this, but New Jersey Educational Opportunity Fund provides financial assistance and support services to students who attend higher education in the state of New Jersey. Right, so undergraduate grants can range from $200 annually to about $2,650. It all depends on the institution and the financial need. And then these grants will be renewable from year to year as long as you maintain eligibility. Rutgers, usually the annual eligibility right now, it's going to change a little bit, but we usually estimate anywhere about $1,600 for the year. But that official amount will be set soon by the state. But who is eligible? So students who have been New Jersey residents for 12 consecutive months prior to the award period, and then students who meet the EOF guidelines. That's basically meaning that you have to adhere to HESA's family size, income cutoffs, and asset cutoffs. And then we'll look at that as well in a little bit. And then students are also required to maintain full-time status. Okay, so here's the 2022-2023 academic year eligibility for EOF and the asset cutoff. So this will kind of give you an idea based off of the household size, where the gross income has to be for that specific household size, and then as well as assets. So assets can kind of consist of money in checking and savings, or if you have like a money market or investment accounts, or if your family owns a business or you own a business, different things like that. So that's what the assets refer to. So documentation that's required for EOF verification. So students wanting to participate in the EOF program must go through a process which is called verification. So this verification process allows the Office of Financial Aid to determine if you meet the income requirements that the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority has set in place. So they're not Rutgers guidelines, but they're HESA's, they're the state of New Jersey's guidelines. So documentation that could be requested from you would be asset verification forms. So students may be required to submit asset verification for 2019 and 2020. So the 2 years is going to be dependent on whether you've received EOF before, if you're coming in as a transfer student, or whether you haven't. So that's what's going to determine whether you need to verify 2 tax years or just 1. Students will also be required to do a household verification form, and that's kind of just you certifying who's in your household, how many people are in college, If you receive any type of benefits, so like Social Security benefits, SSI, SNAP, TANF, if you select any of those on your FAFSA application, then you'll have to verify that information as well. Students will also be required to submit tax return transcripts for 2020. But again, there's some students that will have to submit this for two tax years, so 2019 and 2020. So it's important for students to make sure that they wait to receive notification from the Office of Financial Aid before actually submitting documentation, okay? So we have a new system for this upcoming academic year, so it's going to be a little bit different, where students can't just easily come in and just drop off forms. What will happen is you're going to get a notification letting you know that these documents are being requested from you, and you actually have to click the link and upload them. So you can scan and upload them, you can take a photo of them and save them to your computer, and then scan them up like that. So you just want to make sure that you keep that in mind when you get the notification. Okay, so we're going to talk about the IRS tax return transcript. So this is different than the 1040 that you file, right? So if you do your own taxes and you do your taxes like on TurboTax or some type of site like that, you get a copy of your 1040, or of your tax account. If you go to a tax preparer and they do your taxes, they give you a copy of your 1040. This is completely different, right? A tax return transcript can only be obtained directly from the IRS. It's basically just an official document from the IRS, which kind of takes your 1040 and composes it into this new document. So that's all that is. You can request these a couple different ways: by phone, online, or by mail. The EOF office is very good at helping students kind of walk through these steps. I know that there's videos out there too on how to actually go and request these online, or especially the online process. If you're going to do it by mail, there is a form that you do have to complete, and that's the IRS 4506T form. A lot of students, sometimes what will happen is they'll take this form, complete it, and then they'll upload it to your portal financial aid site. But this form actually has to get mailed directly to the IRS. And then what the IRS does is, with this request, they mail you back a copy of your tax return transcript or your non-filer letter. And then once you receive it, then you're going to upload it into your portal. So how to review and upload your required documents. So you want to log into your MyRuckers account, and then you're going to open the financial aid portal by finding the My Financial Aid widget. All right, this is exactly what it'll look like when you go out there. So then you're going to click on the Documents tab and clicking on any of the requested documents. So in that right photo, it's kind of small, but like you can see that it'll list out all the items that you're missing. And that's kind of like your to-do list. And then next to it, if you click on the red tab, it'll open it up and let you see or upload it. So then once you actually click on the tab, the document detail and tab, it'll bring you to your individual student portal account. And then once you're in here, you're going to click on the Documents tab. The Documents tab will show you any documents needed to be reviewed, uploaded, or submitted to verify financial eligibility. You'll see the item. You're also going to see the owner. So it's, for instance, it'll say student if it's requesting your tax returns. It'll say parent 1 or parent 2 if it's requesting your parents. You're also going to see a little description of why it is they need it or what that actual item is. And then on the far right, you're going to see upload. So if you click on the upload, it would bring you up another screen where you will answer some questions and actually upload your attachment. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about state aid. So New Jersey HESA, New Jersey Higher Education Student Assistance Authority, is the agency that students will need to supply sometimes additional information to if they're looking to be considered for state grants and scholarships. Some of these could be TAG, NJ Stars 2, EOF. We also have some students or New Jersey Dreamers are not able to complete a FAFSA application, but they need to complete an alternative application for financial aid. And this can also be done through HESA's website at hesa.org. So it's really important for you to log in and create a New Jersey FAMS account. If you haven't done it already, or you're not sure what it is, you want to make sure you create this account. Once you create an account and you log into your NJ FAMS account, you're going to be able to see a to-do list, like your task list. It's going to show you that your FAFSA has been received. They received your FAFSA. Anything in green is mean everything that you've completed. If there's anything in red, those are the items that you want to complete. That's separate from your verification process with Rutgers Office of Financial Aid. So if HESA is asking for something specific, you also have to supply that information to them, because that will impact you from receiving any TAG eligibility or EOF eligibility, that you may be eligible for. So if you've received New Jersey TAG before, you may be familiar with what that grant is, but it's a need-based state-funded financial aid program for New Jersey residents, right? So the students must be full-time for the 2022-2023 academic year. And right now, the max amount is $10,044. This is also going to change a little bit. This is for our current academic year, but this will just change slightly. And awards will be renewed annually based off of you renewing your FAFSA, and the state will use your FAFSA application to determine your eligibility. It's important that you adhere to filing deadlines, and then the state also has a amount of payments that you are allowed to have. So it's just important. What will happen is, now that you're going to begin the fall semester, after that, you'll be considered a continuing student. So all continuing students are required to submit their FAFSA application by January 15th. If you meet that priority deadline of January 15th for Rutgers, you'll be within your state guidelines for your TAG and your EOF, all that stuff. So you want to just make sure when you get your email reminder to renew your FAFSA, to make sure that you just go in and renew it by that January 15th date. So some important dates to remember. So Monday, September 30th will be the last day to indicate if you would like to withdraw from EOF consideration. We're also anticipating that Friday, November 18th is the last day to turn in verification documents to the Office of Financial Aid in order to be considered for the EOF program. It's important that students remember that once you let the EOF office know that you do want to be considered, once you're open for verification, you have to complete the verification process and turn in all the documentation that's being requested from you. Not turning in your documents can stop your financial aid that you're already receiving from crediting to your term bill. So it's very important that once you receive your notice of the documents that are needed, that you begin the process to start submitting those documents. So for instance, like after this session, if you already know that, this is something that you want to go through with, I would just start, even though it may be a week or two before you receive notification from us to start submitting docs, start requesting your IRS tax return transcripts, because that's something that you're going to need, and it's going to take some time for you to get it in the mail. So this is the contact information for the EOF office. It's their phone number and their email. This is also the number for the Office of Financial Aid. When you call this number, you'll get our contact center. And they're pretty good when you specify that, you're coming in as an EOF student. If there's anything that they can't handle, they'll make sure that you get connected with me. You can also submit an inquiry to the Office of Financial Aid at this link that's here, and then that will come to our office. And I would just, in your inquiry, just specify that you're EOF, and then they're pretty good at getting, those inquiries over to me. And so I guess now we're going to open it for questions, and I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Lakeisha. I do want to reiterate a few things. So as Lakeisha mentioned, we are going to start the verification process. So those of you who are with us today on August 3rd and who are, and we have some who are not able to join us today, but have applied. So if you have applied at this point, we are going to start the verification process next week. So I'm going to send Miss Lakeisha a list of your names saying, yes, we're going to start this process. And then she's going to quote unquote open you up, right, for verification. So you're going to start getting notifications probably sometime at the latter end of next week that say, hey, you have some documents you have to submit now in your financial aid portal. And so I want to make sure, as Miss Lakeisha said, that you do want to continue in this process, right? So after listening to what financial verification is going to entail and knowing that these documents are time sensitive and you don't want to drag this process out because you don't want to have any issues with your financial aid, if you're like, I can't do this, or I don't want to commit to this, or I don't want this support, please let me know via email before Monday. If I don't hear from you, I am going to send a follow-up email with the recording from today so that if you're like, I need to watch this again, or if you were unable to join us, you can watch it now and then just kind of get the information about the verification session. If I don't hear from you after I send out that email, I'm just going to assume you want to move forward and we're going to start the process next week. For anyone who applies after this week and is watching the recording session, that date of September 30th will be the last day to withdraw your name from the EOF process. And then we're going to start the verification process after that. So just make sure that if you are going to become part of the program and you're going to commit to this process, that you're committing to the process. We will support you throughout it. So EOF will support you. We'll reach out and make sure that if you have any questions or anything that you need help with the documents, that we will support you in that. And so will the Office of Financial Aid. They're great about helping you walk you through anything that you may have. So, some of it's time consuming, but a lot of it is just committing to the process and then asking for help when you need it. Every document for every student is going to be a little bit different. It's going to depend on the person, right? So some people have a lot of documents they have to submit. Some people have just a few, but you all will need to request tax transcripts. So as Miss Lakeisha mentioned, doing that process now, I put some links in the chat that may be helpful. The link to the IRS website and a YouTube video that we created to walk you through the process of how you obtain tax transcripts, because there are several different ways. So you can get started on those things now, and tax transcripts tend to be the longest thing that holds students up because they can take a few weeks to come in the mail if you get them through the mail. So those are just some things I want to reiterate. And now I want to see if there are any questions. I do see that we have somebody's hand raised. And so I'm going to get to that in a second. I just want to make sure I mentioned before that if you could if you're present with us today, if you could put your name in the chat so I can make sure that I mark that you were here in the session today. Okay, so I think the first hand I saw was Gigi. You can unmute yourself. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I have a question about the first link you sent. It was the IRS tax transcript. So I am on a website and I heard you say the 2020 year. But on here, there's like different kind of transcripts, like a return transcript or account, like, there's multiple things. So I don't know exactly what to like select.
It's a return transcript.
Okay,
So
all right.
That's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question because sometimes people will put account transcript. It's a return one. So it's make sure that when you are requesting it, it's a return transcript.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I think we had Amina.
Hi. I just realized that I'm signed in under my daughter's account, but my name is different. I didn't realize until I clicked the link. So just put my name in the chat.
Yes. I guess if it's whoever this is for. So if it's for your daughter, whoever's applying to the program, so I can just make sure that I know that they attended today.
Okay, are you gonna send it to the Rutgers email or the personal email? The
Whatever
verification.
email that I have in the application that was completed is typically where I send it to, because I know that person's checking their email.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. And then we had somebody, it just says Zoom user, so I'm not sure who you are, but you feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, sorry, I don't know how to change my name on here.
It's okay.
So I also went on the IRS website and it says like there's one for get your transcript online and then there's one by mail. Would you prefer to have it like online or by mail?
Okay, so that's a great question. So I would say try online. So I'm gonna be honest that a lot of times students struggle with the online part. It's been a while since I've created an online account, but I believe that you have to have like certain identifiers or certain kind of information in order to even create an online account. And so if that's the case, I'm going to stop share for a second because I'm going to go on the IRS website. Then you should do by mail, but there's like 2 different ways to go by mail. So I'm gonna make sure that let me go to the IRS website. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen again so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So you're on the IRS website, and now you can see there's different option and you go, so where I sent you guys a link to was get your tax record. So if you just went to irs.gov, you would just go to get your tax record, and then it's showing you all the different things, right? So of course, I always recommend trying the online account. If that doesn't work, which often happens for people, that's fine. The next thing would be to do get transcript by mail. This is better than the third option, which I'll get to you in a second. But if you go to get transcript by mail, you click on this, you have this warning, and then it's literally just filling in this information. So the important thing to remember is that it's for the person you're requesting it for. So for example, if you didn't file taxes, but you're dependent on your parent, right? And they filed taxes in 2020 and they need the 2020 tax return transcript. It would be their information that goes here, right? So because they're gonna pull whoever's social security number is, whoever's date of birth it is, and that's the file associated with it. If you needed your own tax transcript, you would do the same thing again for yourself. And you would do this. The annoying thing about this is you have to do it multiple times, right? So if you want like 2 years of tax transcripts, you need one for 2019 and 2020, you'd have to do it again for 2019. In the video that I posted in the YouTube video in the chat, and I'm also going to send that video out when I send this recording, I do walk you through how to get this, right? So it's pretty easy. Once you just fill in the information, you hit continue, it's going to ask you what you're looking for. Again, it's a return transcript, and then you're putting the year. And once you do that, it should come in like 2 weeks. They're pretty good about sending them out by mail this way. So that's the next best option besides creating an online account. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I also have another quick question.
Sure.
So if I'm a dependent under my parents, do I have to get like my tax return for 2020 and also like my parents' tax return?
So I'm gonna let you answer that one, Lakeisha.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I was answering something in the chat.
You're okay. So if my mom filed me as a dependent and like I worked a job last year, I had like a W-2 for 2020, like do I have to also like request like both of our tax returns or just mine or just hers?
So are you under the age of 24?
Yeah.
So then I would request both. So did you file?
Yeah, I think I did file. Is it just for 2019 or for 2020, or is it for 2020 and 2019?
So I would request both 2019 and 2020. Just because I won't know until I receive the list of students and whether you had EOF history or not, whether you're gonna need 1 year or 2 years. So I would request both to be safe, and this way you have them.
Okay, and then is there like any other document we should like provide?
Just that for now is what
Okay.
you can work on, because as she mentioned, and it's unique to every person, right? So you might have it's gonna go off of your FAFSA, like what you're reporting on your FAFSA is what is being used to figure out what documentation is needed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I think there was an additional, so I know there's still some hands raised, but I think Kiara, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did,
Okay.
for Lakeisha. So, for 20, I believe for the financial aid, we did the 2020 filing. But I filed as a dependent. Do I still need to provide my mom's taxes, although I did my financial aid on my own?
So when you say, are you under the age of 24?
Yeah.
Okay, so the only way the FAFSA would have gone through without parent information is if you had some type of special circumstance. And so that's something we could talk offline about.
Okay. Yeah, because
Um,
I filed as independent because I made a lot on 2020. So my mom didn't file me as a dependent in her taxes.
Okay, so just for taxes, not for your FAFSA application.
Oh, well, for the FAFSA application, I did put independent.
You put independent as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so we might have to look at that because you may have to update your FAFSA.
Okay.
But we can talk offline. That way you don't
Okay.
have to put your personal information out there.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? I see there was, let me just open the chat. Okay. Okay, yep, so I did record the session. I didn't have somebody message and say they joined a little bit late, so I will send it out to everyone, so you can rewatch, and then if you have questions, I'll send out the link to, I know I put it in the chat, but just in case, I'll send the link to the YouTube video about how to obtain your transcripts. But really, it's gonna be, once this process starts, you'll see like what documents are owed, and we can answer, more additional questions that are personal to you and your situation as we get to that point. But I definitely recommend working on the transcripts now, because they can take a little while, and you might as well just, and even if the worst case you don't need them for whatever reason, you have them in case you need them for something else. So is there any other questions before we end the session?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So for the meetings that we have to meet with our EOF advisor, is it like twice a month?
Yes.
Or is it? And then are they going to be in person or remote?
So we have both options. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a great question. So we have, we are going to be, our office will be working both in the office and remotely for this academic year. So there will be opportunities to meet with your counselor in person and virtually. So some students have a preference based on their schedule, or based on a million other things, right? So there, you will have the opportunity to schedule either or. Some of the workshops that we do will also be virtual, but some will be in person. So there will be a mix of both.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, so that concludes our session. I'm gonna stop recording, but we will hang out for a few minutes in case anyone has like individual like one-on-one questions that they might have they didn't want to share with the group. But otherwise, I appreciate you all coming out today to this virtual session, and I hope this was helpful and informative. And I will be in contact. I'll probably be sending the recording like later today or tomorrow morning. So look out for that. And then if you have any questions, please reach out. But I hope you all enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.